Hey, I'm Marcus.
And I'm Nick.
We are Working Class Nerds.
Cue the intro. That's right. We are Working Class Nerds, the podcast that gives you no information about your favorite information.
Today is Thursday, June 10th, 2021, and you can find this 109 podcast on Apple Podcasts, Buzzsprout, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and anywhere you can find a podcast in this galaxy far, far away. You can also watch me terribly fail at video games at twitch.tv/MarcusB814.
And soon you can find me playing video games at twitch.tv/NickVern51.
And I am at MarcusB814, and he is at Nick Vern on Twitter. And what are we doing today, Nick?
Well, this week's episode, we're so excited to be joined by the Uplink Podcast host himself. It's Sage. So, Sage, how's it going? And what have you been up to?
Doing great. I'm also very jealous that you got your name on Twitter at Nick Vern.
Yes. I mean, I don't think my full name would be way too long to put on a Twitter handle if it was
It's still pretty impressive.
Nicholas Vernadakis. It's kind of a mouthful.
But yeah, I've just been practicing for Battlefield and then playing Minecraft. Those have been my two go-to things recently, and then hopping in and out of Battlefront.
Very nice.
Wow. So how does one prepare for Battlefield?
Terribly so. Going through and playing the older Battlefield games. So I've gone through playing Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, and then Battlefield 4. So those have been the main ones that I've been prepping for. So just jumping in there, playing as much as I can, dying as frequently as humanly possible, and then doing it all over again.
Which one's your favorite of those three? 4, 5, or 1?
Battlefield 1.
Yes.
So I played Battlefield 1943 or 42, whichever one it was.
Yep.
That's what started my journey down here, but I took a break from the series for quite some time. And then Battlefield 1 is when I really got back into things. I love the campaign for Battlefield 1. I think it's one of the best campaigns for a multiplayer shooter, period.
That's fair to say.
Well,
it's really cool.
Well, also, too, it's something that was never done before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has ever gone to the World War I era. And there's something about the Frostbite engine with DICE making a first-person shooter. It is hands down the most beautiful first-person shooters ever.
Yeah.
It's so
There's
pretty.
nothing, you know what I mean? My favorite Battlefield is Bad Company 2.
I was just going to say that was my first Battlefield experience. It was
That
Bad
is the
Company 2.
best Battlefield ever made. I was kind of hoping the next Battlefield would be Bad Company or like Batter Company.
Yeah.
Just like selfishly. Baddest Company, right? Just because it had that, I felt it had that feeling of, what's that HBO series?
Entourage?
Nope. Band of Brothers.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
It had like that Band of Brothers feel where like you were a part of your squad. And it was really the first time a first person shooter put a quote unquote squad together.
Yeah.
And you would partner up with 3 of your friends. And that was like the beginning of the squads. And
I forgot that in the multiplayer, you actually had to squad up.
Yeah, you squatted up. And it was the beginning of the Frostbite like engine where they like could blow up buildings.
Yeah, it was cool because it had like a destructible environment.
Yes,
that was really cool. I remember being like, "Wait a minute, there's guys in the building," and one of my buddies being like, "Just blow up the building because we were in a tank." And I'm like, "What do you mean I can blow up the building?" He's like, "Shoot the wall, he'll die." I'm like, what? I shoot the wall, the whole building collapses. It's like I got like 4 kills. And
I remember the whole like. Then when they were in the window, you would shoot the wall next to the window with the noob tube, and it would bust a hole. You would pull out your assault rifle, pop, done.
Yeah,
kill.
You all 1-2 combo.
I don't know. And it was really lighthearted as well.
Yeah, it was like arcadey.
Yes. And for me, I like an arcade shooter versus a realistic shooter.
Yeah, agreed.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like the fast respawns versus, I hate when it says 7 seconds, 6 seconds. Till you can respawn. It's like, no, I'm dead.
I hate that with a burning passion. Like I loved when Battlefront 2 they would get rid of the respawn timers and you just be able to jump back into things. Like I love that because that's how I love to play. I love to play aggressive, and then that timer just ruins everything.
Yeah. Okay.
Agreed.
As accustomed to talking about first-person shooters, are you a hide the corner sniper rifle camper? Do you pray and spray submachine gun, or are you more of a tactical run around with the assault rifle, creep around corners kind of guy?
I have rediscovered sniping. So I have been practicing my sniping skills once again, just because at this state of Battlefield 5, if you aren't sniping, you're going to get sniped. So it's better just to get on the bullet and try to snipe people before they get you. But if it's more of like an underground map, like a train station or something like that, my go-to is usually the assault.
That's cool. In Battlefield, I think I'd like to either be a medic. I played all different roles. I liked sniping. Mm-hmm. I would frequently switch when I would play a Battlefield game, but I think in Battlefield 1 I primarily played as a medic because I liked the sort of, for lack of a better term, like the marksman rifle where it's like semi-auto, like assault rifle more or less. Mm-hmm. It's like a nice bridge between the assault class and like a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
But in Call of Duty, I run a weird setup. I run a sniper rifle with a submachine gun.
Well, that's crowd control versus distance shooting.
Right. So I like to, if I'll engage somebody and they're kind of too far away, I'll hide around the corner and let my health come back, and then I know they're still just staring at me, and I'll just come out with the sniper rifle and boom, one shot them. They get so frustrated. You can hear the death when somebody dies. Sometimes in certain game modes, you can hear their mic for 3 seconds or so right after they die. They're like, what the fuck?
That's one of the sweatiest things, man. The cringiest things is that those 3 to 5 seconds after you kill someone where their mic is on.
And they're just freaking out.
Oh, the good old days of Modern Warfare 2.
I know.
I miss those days.
Me too.
But it was a different type of toxicity, right? When you were in the match, it was anything goes, right? Motherfucker, you're an asshole, jump off a cliff. It was brutal, right?
Yeah.
During those 15 minutes of the match, it was over. But as soon as it was over, everybody in the chat was like, good game, good game, good game, good game.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was over.
Right.
Right. You weren't getting messaged later about how your parents shouldn't have had you because you're terrible at the game. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like the evolution of toxicity has gone through the roof. And but those Modern Warfare 2, I think some of them are some of the best comments ever. And the best were when you had one of the kids and their mom was like, I told you, Johnny, to get off the Xbox 25 minutes ago. And then you lose the player and she's like, she unplugged the Xbox.
Or she hit the button on the power strip. One of the
exactly.
Two. Yeah.
Yep. Good night.
I can't pause an online game, Mom.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Anyway,
it's still the same match. It's ground war. It takes a long time. Click.
Yeah, there was zero. My mom, when we used to play video games, that was pre-multiplayer gaming, but because I'm old as shit, but it was definitely, she always unplugged it, and then I told her that it wouldn't save, so then she just would turn off the power switch. She figured out how to turn off the power switch, and that's when it got real. Remember one time she just opened up the PlayStation 1 top and let the CD just spin. And I'm like, no, Mom, I just made it to the library in Castlevania Symphony of the Night. What did you just do?
Right.
I would have shut it off. I just needed to save it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a buddy
go ahead.
I had a buddy that didn't have a memory card, and for a while we didn't have one either for a GameCube, but he didn't have one for the original PlayStation, and you needed one, so he would play through and just keep it on so he could get back home from school and just keep on going. But at any point, all of his progress could have been lost.
That's crazy.
One power surge.
Exactly.
Gone.
Right. That's crazy.
All right, so Nick, what have you been up to?
So, a few different things. Let's see. I'm up to date on the Bad Batch, which is pretty epic. There's 16 episodes, so we're not in the filler section, but the the lull of the story section, or like I forget, honestly, I think 5 or 6 episodes in.
I'm not a big fan.
It's like it started off cool, and now that it's like the adventures of the Bad Batch, I'm like, I feel like these characters aren't well developed enough. Like they're not, or maybe that's not the word. There's not enough like substance to each character for me to be like really interested in a Adventures of the Bad Batch type of show. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like in The Mandalorian, there's a lot happening, so I like when they have the like, oh, we're just going to a planet to do the mission to save the town type of thing. That I feel like that played out a lot better than how the Bad Batch is kind of doing it.
I feel like they wanted the show to be like the Clone Wars, where it would be the adventures of the Bad Batch. But what they didn't realize about the Clone Wars was one episode was about R2-D2 and C-3PO. The next one was about Anakin. The next one was about Obi-Wan. Then we got a Yoda episode. So there was a lot of filler in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
But
it was different.
It was different. This show, I guess, I feel like they should have had like the first 3 or 4 episodes or 5 episodes, like with that crosshair guy just chasing them. Because clearly the last 3 episodes are going to be intense as shit.
Yeah.
But like,
yeah,
there's 16 episodes. Honestly, like, I'm going to be hated for this. What's Omega?
Yeah.
Like, okay, she's a little kid and she's learning how to be in the Bad Batch, right? Clearly she has a bigger plot. Yes, she's the Emperor's clone. Whatever you want to say she is, that's fine. But I feel like
we'll revisit that after.
Yeah, but like I feel like she doesn't have a purpose.
Yeah.
There's no purpose of the show.
Yeah.
Okay, so they, Order 66 happened. They're okay.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
No purpose.
And they're all going to go through their Order 66 moments. Like in the last episode, the guy fell on the ground. And he was like, good soldiers follow orders.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like their inhibitor chip is coming through.
Yeah.
But I don't feel as if I'm not as connected to the show. Like most shows, I don't have my phone in my hand. I find with the Bad Batch, I'm just like,
me.
If I feel like scrolling through Discord, I will. You know what I mean? Like seeing the baby Rancor, cool. But did they really need to make it that it was Jabba's Rancor? You know what I mean? Like we don't need that anymore.
Yeah, I get you.
That's my feeling. I've been really enjoying the Bad Batch. I like the characters. I'm not fully caught up yet. I think I'm behind 1 or 2 episodes just because I've been so freaking busy. But I understand your perspective of why do they have to tie everything in together with Star Wars? Like, can't we just have something that is standalone? Like, we don't have to have Ahsoka be in everything. Dave Filoni, you love her. She's great, but she doesn't have to be in everything.
Right.
Why does that Rancor have to be that other Rancor? Like, is there only one?
Right. Exactly. Right. That's my point. And I'm not saying like it was cool to see a baby Rancor. I'm not going to lie. That was cool. Like some of the things in the show are wicked cool. I just feel like I'm not hook, line, and sinker. And when The Mandalorian came out, Sage, did you ever miss an episode? Did you ever let 2 or 3 episodes go by before you watched it?
Well, I saved them up, so we binged them.
Right, but that was a conscious decision.
But, yeah. Right. Here, you said you haven't watched it because you've been so busy.
Yeah.
Where, in my opinion, if you're like ready for the next episode, you're going to watch it.
Yeah, like for The Mandalorian, I would make sure I was
You were
available.
watching it at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah. I was yeah, actually, whenever it would come out, I'd set my alarm and watch it before work and then go back to bed. But yeah, I think the biggest problem for the Bad Batch, I think it's just lacking like an overall like season-long story arc. Like it's just there's not a big conflict that they're supposed to solve, right? Like they're just sort of adrift, and maybe it'll pick up something, but I feel
they're
like
bounty hunters.
Yeah, but I feel like they've been sort of stagnant for 3 episodes or so now. You know what I mean?
Well, they found this, I'm going to call her the code breaker.
Yeah.
And now they're on a planet. And now they're just doing jobs for her.
Right. But
so they're Mando, they're it's basically Mando too.
That's what I'm saying. It's the Mandalorian animated series. But
I am glad that you mentioned that because I felt somewhat similar. Like every single recent Star Wars thing has had to have we crash on this planet and we have to find a part or this thing that something happens, some alien takes the part, like in Mando, it was the Jawas. And then in this one, they crashed, and the part they needed was taken by some weird like lizard alien things.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
And like let's go to the Jawa thing. It was cool to see Jawas in their own like atmosphere,
environment,
and then like go get the egg. But that whole episode was nothing until the end when Grogu was like, motherfucker. Here's the Force. Exactly. And everybody was like, okay, now that episode was amazing.
Yeah, but that was cool, and it was acceptable that it was like a standalone little adventure because there was overarching plot. Like, you get to learn stuff about Grogu there.
Right.
Like, we're not really learning. I wouldn't mind if it's okay. Now that I'm like realizing the parallels, it's a little frustrating that it's like Mandalorian Part 2, like formula.
Part 2.
But it's not as good. And I want to see more from Omega. I wouldn't mind if we were getting more character development out of Omega. Like, what is her stick?
I love Omega. Like, Omega.
I think she's can be a cool character, but they gotta like start doing stuff with her. You know what I mean?
They're setting her up for something, but
they're taking their sweet time to do it.
The first couple episodes, they stopped really doing anything like that.
Right. I thought like in the first episode or maybe not the first episode, first or second episode, where she's chatting with Crosshair and being particularly like empathetic towards Wrecker. Like, hey, like I think one of the lines is like, hey, I know what you're gonna do, but I know you have to do it. It's not your fault or something like that. And I'm like, oh, does she like telepathic a little bit? Is she particularly like sensitive to like people's emotions or something? Like, I know she was the medical helper. I'm like, are we going to see more of this? Is this going to come up? And then it's just like, no, for 4 episodes now, she's just a little kid that's with a mercenary group. And it's very frustrating, I find. I hope it picks up soon.
It will. So there's no question that the show is going to pick up.
Yeah.
There's no question because it's going to get good. It's just,
I feel like maybe it's just the pacing I'm criticizing.
And I think, everybody bitched and complained that the Mando was 8 episodes or 7 episodes or 6 episodes, 8 episodes.
Yeah.
And then in the first season, there was too much filler. And they're like, oh, this animated series, we're going to do 16 episodes. And I'm like, all right, fantastic. But maybe this show isn't a 16 episode show because it's just about the Bad Batch.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Anyways, what else have you been doing?
In non-Star Wars news, I'm just gonna
wait. No.
What?
I want to hear all about Star Wars trivia fail.
Oh, dude.
Forget about anything else on that list. Everything else, pull it up in a ball, throw it out the window. Because your Star Wars card is about to go. I'm about to give you a red card. Okay. So right now you have a yellow.
I deserve it.
You have a yellow right now.
I'm gonna get a second yellow.
Okay, let's go.
All right. So CT Valley Brewing Company. It's in Windsor. It's a pretty sweet.
Yeah, I've been there.
It's a nice atmosphere. They have trivia nights on Wednesdays. So last week they had Marvel trivia, and me and friend of the pod, Joey Feta, went with a couple of my friends from the ED, and it was fun. I know some Marvel stuff, but I'm not like a Marvel expert. Obviously, Star Wars is my forte. So I go to. So then I realize, oh my god, yesterday is Star Wars trivia night.
Fantastic.
6:30 to 8:30. So I get there at 6, and we literally get the last possible like seating arrangement. Like they have couches right in front of the trivia guys, like DJ booth, if you will, and like every single other table is already full, and it was like 5:55.
Okay.
So it's packed. It's like way more people than the Marvel one. There was probably like 40 teams of people, and I think I ended up coming in like 12th, which is just terrible.
Why? That's actually not bad.
Yeah, but I got I think out of the 50 questions, I got 42 correct. So
that's still good.
Yeah, it was some stiff competition, I guess the point. Like one of the questions I got wrong was do you remember in episode 2, Attack of the Clones?
Yes.
The guy that's trying to sell Obi-Wan death sticks, and he goes, you do not want to buy death sticks.
Yeah.
You want to go home and rethink your life. I want to go home and rethink my life.
Yeah.
What was that guy's name?
Oh my God.
I have no idea. I didn't either. It was like some very obscure name. I don't know how you would even know that. Probably one of the EU books.
Google?
Yeah, but you can't use a Google. You can't take your phone out or anything. You got to know it off the top of your head. I will say I got all the Mandalorian questions right. I got all the extended universe questions right about the Sith Empire and stuff.
42 out of 50. That's a passing grade. You did good.
I know, but I'm pissed. I should have came in like top 5 or place.
Yeah, but
Disappointed
you
in
don't know,
myself.
like
It's a fail.
Yeah.
I got 12th out of like 40 something.
I would hold my head high.
It's terrible.
No.
Not acceptable. Do or do not. There is no try. Damn it. Well, anywho, that was my fail. We did pretty good, but there were some serious nerds there. And I'm also pissed there was no Scomp Link question. I feel like every time I've gone to a Star Wars trivia thing, somebody asks, what's the cylindrical doohickey that R2-D2 uses to interact with computers? Scomp Link.
It's because that's too easy to know, Nick.
Yeah, well, I thought that was not easy to know.
Okay.
Back at the ranch. Where's Kitty? Meanwhile, back at the ranch. He does it way better. There was non-Star Wars stuff, and then I'm gonna go back to nerdy things. I got coerced into watching like a horror show, which is actually pretty cool. I'm usually the least person there was some bartering going on. But anyways, I got coerced into watching Haunting of Hill House. Not usually my forte at all, but it was actually really, really good. Once I got past like probably episode 4 or so, and I started to, I've realized this about me and horror things, right? I hate them initially because I don't know when the scares are going to come up. I don't understand the logic of the ghosts or whatever, and I hate paranormal shit. Like, show me Saw or like normal gory things, I don't care. Like, that's like serial killers that are just regular humans, like no problem. I can process that in my brain, but anything paranormal, forget it. Ghosts or whatever, like I'm out. Freaks me out big time. But I will say, once I figure out like the logic of them, like their rules and regulations, if you will, like, oh, they're only going to be in this one house. Oh, they're just going to scare you. They're not really going to hurt you, whatever. Then I can like watch the show and process it properly. But like in this, it takes like a few episodes to understand what the hell's happening. So it's like 4 episodes of terror, and then you go, oh, okay, like I get it. That being said, if you're into that stuff, this is a really good show. It came out in like 2018, and it's called The Haunting of Hill House. Marcus is like, there's no fucking way I would ever watch that.
Not a chance.
Totally get it.
My brother greatly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm like obviously very late to the game here because this is not my jam. But I think it won awards and stuff. And one of the episodes, they shot the whole episode in 5 takes, and there's a 17-minute long single take, which is crazy.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was like it was really cool. They did an awesome job with it, but and there's all kinds of twists and turns and things, of course. So in nerdy news, I've been playing a whole bunch of Call of Duty multiplayer. That's just my like stress reliever. I'm just jamming.
Cold War or Warzone?
Cold War.
Nice.
I'm a Treyarch engine person. I'm not a Infinity War engine person.
Okay.
I like the more arcadey style. I like that style better. I don't mind Warzone as like a concept. I like battle royales, but I just don't like the Infinity War engine, if that makes sense. Or I should say, comparatively, I prefer the Treyarch engine by a lot.
Okay.
But also the new Loki episode came out yesterday.
Oh, that's out?
Yeah, it came out yesterday.
What did you think?
I think it's going to be really cool. The first episode's pretty much all set up for the universe, but that's fine. It's very interesting. You've got this Loki you get is not the Loki that you see at the end of Endgame. This is Loki from the first Avengers movie, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like completely egotistical and arrogant and a dick. And then you see him interact with like very reasonable people. I don't really want to talk about it too much because like you should go watch it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch it.
But it's interesting to see like it's like a different version of Loki because this is like Loki from the first movie that hasn't gone through any of like the development,
character growth, yeah.
The character growth. So like you're getting like fresh raw Loki, and then you get some character development within the episode. Obviously, that's different than the other.
Yeah, so it's almost like it's going to be like WandaVision, where like you're getting the beginning, and then you're going to get more, and then you're going to get more, and then you're going to get more, and then all hell's going to break loose.
Yeah, it sounds pretty epic though. So definitely go check that out. It's on Disney Plus. And yeah, that's it for me. Marcus, how's it going? What have you been up to?
Wow.
How are things?
Okay, so I have a problem.
I know what it is.
What's that? Tell me.
Your problem is you have a Destiny 2 problem.
Yes, I do. Okay, so I've been in dire need of a second game.
Yeah.
I play SWTOR like a champion. I love it. That's my game. That's my jam. I'm a nerd. I play Star Wars The Old Republic. That's my jam. With that said, I tried to play Destiny 2 a while ago.
Basically at launch, right?
Well, yes.
More or
And then
less.
I didn't have anybody that really played it, so I kind of let it go. Then about a year ago, pre-COVID, I played it again with some friends, and I was doing just the campaign stuff, and I was just like, meh, like, and at that point, I was like in the height of my SWOTOR like rating, like where I was rating 5 nights a week, and I was like, I can't invest any more time into this game.
Yeah.
Something the other day, or maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago, it caught my eye. I saw somebody playing it, and I was like, let's play. So I started playing it, and like the first 2 nights I spent standing in front of one boss that respawns every minute,
Oh my god.
and we just killed it. And I grinded, and I got to the soft cap, the gear cap, in like 2 nights.
Wow. Jesus.
Yeah, like we grinded. It was fantastic. But here's the thing, is the game is beautiful.
That makes it a lot easier.
And it's creepy, but yet it's not horror. And I love sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm completely fucking addicted to this game. Like, I stopped streaming at 10:35 last night, and I was back in Destiny 2. And like everybody's like, oh, why don't you stream it? Because that's not the game I stream right now.
Yeah. You
know
gotta
what I
like
mean?
be.
Well, you have to have your
I
own
have a
game.
very strict opinion on the streaming stuff, and
Yeah.
I can talk about that in a second. But let me tell you about Destiny 2. I did my first like real dungeon. That shit is hard. Okay? Like, there's so many enemies shooting at you in this one dungeon. There's like 4 corners to the room, and there's these invincible bosses that you can't damage, but all they do is shoot rockets at you
Oh my god.
the whole time the thing is going on. And then another mechanic of one of the fights is while they're shooting you, you have to like get like dark coins or light coins. And then once you get enough, you have to stand on the platform, and then the room shifts. So if you're standing on the floor now, you're probably going to be standing on the right wall next.
Oh goodness.
Whoa.
Yeah. So like I did never have really appreciated game developers. Like, I appreciate the game that they put out,
Yeah.
but I've never appreciated like how hard it must be to do.
It's like to design a game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Until I played Destiny. Like, and I know there's probably games that are more beautiful than it, and like
More complicated. design or
Jackie's
whatever.
probably going to listen to this over at Gearbox and be like, "Fuck you, Marcus."
And roll
No,
its
how hard
eyes.
is it? Yeah, how you know how hard it is to make Borderlands and every other game we're playing that you can't tell us about. But it's incredible. So I'm completely hooked on this game, like to the point of I had to bring my laptop in and make sure it was downloaded because I'm going away this weekend. And while everybody's sleeping, I'm going to play Destiny 2 all fucking night.
Perfect.
Yes.
That's the best.
It sure is, Nick. So anyway, in SWOTOR, I finished the Sith Sorcerer story.
Whoa.
It was fantastic. The ending was amazing.
Did you zap somebody with lightning until they turned into a skeleton?
Nope, I'm not telling because it was that good, and I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. But like, if there's ever, you think of like the natural ending of a Sith story, that is it, and it was unbelievable. Like, once I finish the counselor story, and I'm going from as dark as possible to now like
As light as possible?
yeah, like the Jedi counselors, like the, if there's ever something called a goody two shoes, it's that.
Yeah, it's like that's like the peace love. Like
yes,
Okay.
master.
I'm one with the force, the
Yeah,
force is with me.
Oh,
Only passive, everything.
I'm sorry that I stepped on your little sapling tree. Let me grow you 6 more. Here are the seeds. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. You know what I mean? Oh, we
Yeah.
don't
Yeah,
want
like
to
true
kill these
good.
things. Yeah, right. Like, yeah, what is it? Chaotic good?
No,
no,
lawful
pure,
good.
Lawful good.
pure good,
Pure
lawful good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the above.
Right. Lawful good.
Those
yes.
are the worst. I hate it. Anytime I'm like in a campaign on D&D or anything like that, and
Yeah,
someone's lawful good, I'm like, ugh.
Ugh.
If you're gonna do good, at least do chaotic good so we can have some fun. But
No kidding.
no.
Yeah, I don't know what my D&D character is. It kind of goes with the flow. I feel like
I like to go for
Neutral.
like pure neutral, or as neutral as I possibly can
neutral
with my
is
character.
yeah. Sometimes I'll do some bad things. Sometimes they'll be like, all right, what's good for the party here? Like they got like 1,000 gold pieces, then well, maybe they have to die. Like, what else can they do for the party?
Right, exactly. So that's what I've been doing there. As always, thank you to all the nerds community. You guys are fucking awesome. The streams have been so hype, so out of control. Like I'm getting close to 1K followers.
Wow.
Nice.
Like to the point of the community starting to talk to me about like what we're going to do for 1K. Because my 1 year stream anniversary was a 12-hour stream, and I had my birthday stream, which was incredible. So I don't know. I don't think I'll do a 12-hour. Maybe I'll do like a 6.
That's
24.
intense.
Yeah.
No,
24
fuck
hours.
that. I can't ever do that. Ever. Well, you know what it is?
Just turn into a sleeping stream. Those are pretty popular.
Just a stream of you sleeping. That's terrible.
Remind me about the sleeping in a second.
Okay.
So the thing about a 12-hour stream or even a 24-hour, like I got 2 little kids. Like doing the 12-hour, that took like a month of preparation because I needed to make sure I had a place for my wife to go. I had to like persuade her with like a new purse and like food for lunch and dinner, like whatever restaurant she wanted.
Get away.
Yeah, like you want a pedicure? No problem. And well, not really all of this, but then like you have to plan it out. Where are the kids going to go? Okay, we're going to go to Rhode Island, or we're going to go away for the weekend. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey Marcus, I'm going to need some money. Sure, no problem. Here you go. Boom, boom, boom. And then you're safe, right? But but a 24-hour, there's not a chance that I could ever do it.
Yeah, I don't think I would want to do it. Like even if I had like a pure clear schedule, would I want to do that? No way. When we hit 1,100 subscribers on our YouTube channel, I'm going to do a all-in-one playthrough of Fallen Order. So it's feasible to finish that game in about 12 hours.
On Grandmaster? Or are you going to do it on easy?
I don't hate myself. I'll do it probably normal.
Even normal straight through is tough because I'll tell you what was the what's the fight with the big sister?
Oh, the second Night Sister?
No, not the second sister, but the
the seventh sister or something.
No, but it was like the big one.
Yeah.
On Kashyyyk.
On Kashyyyk.
Yeah.
That fight sucked. Like that fight was tough as nails.
I see. I had the fight I had the most trouble with was the dude on
Malak something.
Malachi or not Malachi. That's the companion.
He reminded me of Revan.
Yeah, kind of. He's like a fallen Jedi, but not quite a Sith, but definitely dark side. But like doesn't really know how to use a dark side properly, kind of thing.
Yeah, I didn't mind that fight because I just loved being on Dathomir because it's my favorite planet and hanging out with that. And
Malicos, yes.
And hanging out with my future bride, which was the second sister. I mean, the night sister that came with me on the ship.
Yes.
That I took. She's going to be my Fallen Order wife.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm into night sisters. Anyway, moving on. So thank you to the nerds community. If you guys want, come see us both stream, and please join the Discord. There's always some crazy shit going on, and there's the newest channel. I had to mention it. It's called the Database.
The Database?
Yeah, Database. It's for all the dad jokes.
Oh my god. That's the one I had to mute right away. I'm like, what is blowing up right now?
Yep. So it was as soon as I announced it, 2 people were like, we're instantly muting that channel. We're like, right now, we're not. They wiped the group last night in the raid, and they're like, we're muting that. Anyway, so in SWTOR news, there's only one real thing that I want to mention for everybody. That is the Double XP event is coming back June 29th through July 13th. So get ready. Double XP, double renown, double valor. Other than that, we don't know shit about what's happening with this game right now. But Nick,
or any game in Star Wars right now.
It's all coming. Well, I have a big theory on that.
Dun, dun, dun.
Do you want the tinfoil hat, everybody?
The tinfoil attitude.
I love putting on the tinfoil hat, man.
Okay, so EA Play is coming up at the end of July, right? I think it's July 23rd, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think in the month starting mid-July to end of July, we are going to get some big news. So like if you look at it, like June is Battlefield for EA. Like June is all about Battlefield. And then July is going to be all about Star Wars and the rest of the EA games.
You think?
100%. So we've gotten no information about our
your favorite information.
Yes.
Let's go.
About the Ubisoft game. I feel like we're going to get something about the Ubisoft game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's still a little too early for that, but who knows?
Well, I'm saying maybe a name. Or maybe projects, they're gonna. I feel like it's gonna get named, but the only thing that is the question mark for me is because EA still has the exclusive license. Can they actually mention
the Ubisoft
like
game.
like a game name? Because that means they're actively developing it during an exclusive time for EA.
Yeah, or like promoting it during
right.
the EA
Exactly.
time
Yes.
type of thing.
But either way, I feel like we are going to be getting some Star Wars news for sure. I feel like something big is coming.
I have a bad feeling about this.
The other thing too is SWTOR's, this is our 10th year anniversary is coming.
Yep.
Like they haven't announced what's happening in 10th year. So I'm not saying it's happening now because EA doesn't give a shit about SWTOR, but
yeah,
like I don't believe EA cares at all about Star Wars at all. I think they just care about FIFA.
FIFA game just prints money.
Well, yeah. It's the biggest sport in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I love FIFA, man. It's simple and stupid, but I just love playing as my favorite soccer players.
Well, I enjoy FIFA.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that's all EA really actually cares about because it, like Sage said, it prints billions.
Yeah.
Just on the Ultimate Team, it's like $50 billion last year.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The only Star Wars game that they really care about is Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes because it's in the same printing money boat.
Yeah, with all the mobile gaming. Cha-ching, microtransactions.
I don't even want to get into that.
Okay, Marcus had a little problem with that also.
No. I have a problem with Barbie Dream House Adventures.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm going to get Julia a game for the iPad.
Okay.
And she's like, I want Barbie. So I found this game. Fantastic. Go in. You get to decorate the house. You can it's almost like Sims, but Barbie, right?
Okay.
But they only give you like 3 shirts for free.
Oh.
And then, you get a couch, but it's only brown. But if you want the white couch, it's $2.99.
That's worse than like a shopping addiction. Unless you're like minimalist, unless you're like, you're practicing minimalist and you really just have this urge to buy clothes but don't have space for it.
Yeah.
But trying to explain to a 5-year-old that you have to buy all this stuff, it doesn't work.
Yeah, no.
But she was playing Mario Kart on my Switch, so I guess I'm winning. Anyway, moving on. There's an awesome community event coming.
It's called the Arena. It's the where is it? The PvP arena in the Rishi Stronghold on the Starforge server, and it's Sunday, July 25th, at 2:30 p.m. Wait, hold on. Let me translate this to the real time.
Yes,
it's 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
That's the only time zone that matters.
Yes, and it's a 2v2 PvP tournament. It's hosted by none other than our great friend of the show and friend of Marcus and I, Kogus, and also Biggs.
So, but Nick, let's back up. Kogus is hosting a PvP event.
Yeah.
On what server again?
Oh, Starforge.
Did you hear that?
It's the Starforge server.
Yes.
With Kogus.
Yes.
Kogus is on Starforge.
Yes.
It's Starforge and Kogus.
Well,
Kogus and Starforge.
Yes. So the funny part. Okay. So Sage, you don't know. So there's a war in the SWTOR game between Satil Shan and Starforge.
It's the West Coast.
It's West Coast server versus East Coast server, and it's like just like a comedy thing on all the streamers because they're always like, "What server are you on? We're on the best, and we're on the Starforge." So there's like Satil Shan, and because it's the 2 North American servers. Well, Kogus is like Mr. Satil Shan. He like despises Starforge, but he's now hosting an event on our server. So
It's great.
Yes, this is going to go down
In history.
Yes. Anyways, the stream will be on Kogis's channel, which is twitch.tv/Kogus_. In
KOGASS_.
In AIE news.
In AIE news, it's Total Galactic War. And we're trying to conquer CZ-198.
So every 12 weeks or something like that, they release all of the planets to be able to be conquered.
Yep.
And when that happens, we all like get together and we're going to try to conquer a planet against all these giant guilds.
Total atomic annihilation.
Exactly. So we picked CZ-98 that we've invaded. Right now we have a decent lead, but that can change really quickly over the weekend. So it's been really fun. And yeah, it's fun stuff.
Don't forget, Tuesdays are mandatory fun night in AIE, where the fun is mandatory, but attendance is not. That is 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we alternate between Sunshine and Rainbows and the real Imperial side.
Yep.
That's mandatory fun night every Tuesday. Also, Fridays are the place to be in AIE. The first Friday of every month is Master Mode Flashpoints.
With Mal.
Their second Friday of every month is Hard Mode Training for Hard Mode Operations.
And this week, so everybody knows, we are not going to be doing a hard mode training. We're going to be doing story mode ops to get the guild as many conquest points as we possibly can so we can conquer this planet.
Right. The third Friday in every month is achievement hunting. So you can go find all of your favorite holocrons and datacrons all across the galaxy. And the most important Friday of the month, the fourth Friday of every month, is the best event in all of Star Wars The Old Republic. It's AIE's Mega. That's the monthly Epic Guild activity.
That doesn't get old.
What are we doing for Mega this week?
I have no idea yet.
Well, formally, where in the world did Steve in San Diego go?
I didn't even talk about that.
No. Did you last episode?
Yes.
That's fine.
You weren't here.
Give me the Cliff Notes.
Cliff Notes were we went to Hoth and Max pretended that we were all pirates.
Arrgh!
And we had to save Seema and get her booty. Which not her like actual booty, like the booty like money.
Yeah,
because we're pirates.
I got it. Pirate puns.
Pirate pun, yeah. Anyways,
if all this sounds fun to you, go to AIE-guild.org, jump in the Discord and ask for a guild invite, whether or not you play Star Wars The Old Republic or any of the other games that we play, including Destiny 2. We would love to have you.
We are complete idiots.
Of course we are. That's what makes the show great.
Nick, I know you got to go to the bathroom.
I do. So we'll be right back.
Jeez, Nick, hurry up. We're trying to finish this podcast.
And we're back. So today we're putting on the scuba gear, the respirators, the snorkel, the goggles, the fins, the whole thing.
Even the fins?
The fins and the wetsuit. Zip it up. We're going in deep.
Oh, fancy.
We're breaking down the Uplink Podcast's transition from all Battlefront all the time to the many other great and exciting games that they spotlight now. So first and foremost, Sage, when did the Battlefront Podcast start?
November 9th, 2015, before the game even came out, we started the Battlefront Podcast. And it was my brother and I. We went out to our garage, cold November night. We were both bundled up in our big puffy jackets, and we only had one microphone, so we'd take turns going back and forth. So I'd say something, go to the microphone, and I'd step back, and he would say something in the microphone. We'd take turns like that. That's when it started. What
kind of mic did you guys have to start?
It was the AudioTechnica AT2020.
I think that's what we're using right now. No, that's not this one. But we have an AudioTechnica.
No, we have the AudioTechnica AT2005 USB.
Okay. But we're using little XLRs. Yeah. So I know which one you're using. We started off as well with one mic, and it was a
Blue Yeti.
A Blue Yeti.
Okay.
The sound was awful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it just picks up everything
hate
in the room.
Blue Yetis with a burning passion.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. I've come to not like them.
I feel like it's a good mic for streaming because you can't hear
right for streaming, but even like it's too heavy for the arm. It weighs like 15 pounds. Not literally, but it weighs
a lot. But it's a good mic for streaming, and I say that because when you're streaming, there's other noises going on. So when that mic is picking up all the bullshit all around you,
It's not a big deal.
it's not a big deal because you can't hear it over the game sound.
Right.
Mm.
Where for podcasting, it's not a good mic.
No.
No.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. Because
At all.
Yeah, you gotta isolate just the voices on a podcast, and yeah, that mic picks up everything. I think the first episode, like, you were sitting in a metal folding chair. I think it was.
No, I was in my old computer chair and I leaned back and you heard it go.
Yeah, it was like, so Nick, what are you up to? And you just hear Marcus lean back. It was like a 5-second creak.
So you guys start the show. Was it an instant success? Because there wasn't anybody else doing it.
It took off pretty quick. A friend of mine was asking because I produce podcasts for people as well, and he was like, "Hey, what does our podcast look like in terms of success?" And I was like, "Well, depending on the topic, and considering there are a couple other shows out there similarly, but not the same, we're doing pretty good." And he was like, "Oh, what did yours do when you started?" I was like, "Well, we were right when Battlefront launched, so it was a little." It's not a very good comparison to a show that's starting off and talking about construction and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it took off pretty quickly.
Right, because there was no other show that was talking only about Battlefront.
Yeah, and that's really why I started the podcast, is because I love podcasts. Right? I listen to podcasts nonstop, and I really wanted to listen to a podcast on Star Wars Battlefront, and there weren't any. So I started my own.
That's cool. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
If there's not a product, you go out and make it.
The thing about the Battlefront podcast, and I don't remember how I fell into it. Actually, I was playing Battlefront like crazy.
Yeah, you're playing
Battlefront, and I Google it because I do the same thing. Because that's how I really got sucked into SWTOR. Was like I was at work and I was like, I don't have anything to listen to. I'm gonna search for SWTOR podcasts, and I found a few, and it just grew from there. And it almost adds to your addiction because now you're not only playing it in front of a screen, now you're listening to somebody else that is as passionate about it as you are.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now, when you were doing it, did you find that, instant recognition from the community? Like you became the voice source for news for the game? I don't know if I'm saying that right. Oh shit! How can I say it? So if there's nobody else doing it, right? Does a company like EA notice that right away? And then, did you guys get developers from the Battlefront series on the show to talk about the game?
We've had developers on the podcast. Yes, EA as a whole, it doesn't seem like they don't really respect podcasts as a medium or a platform, it seems, at least in terms of the AAA shooter area, which is weird because there isn't any story with a AAA shooter, so it pairs perfectly with listening to podcasts or music. But we had Dennis Branville on the podcast, who at the time he was, I can't remember exact title, but he ended up being the design director for Battlefront 2.
Whoa.
We had the producer for the game as well, who I'm still friends with to this day. Paul Kesslin, really, really awesome guy. He works at a studio called Avalanche Studios, I believe, in Stockholm, Sweden.
Wow.
Literally the building next to DICE he works at. But we had him on the podcast. Great discussion. We had Colby Boothman, who was our first really big interviewee. He is the motion capture actor for Luke Skywalker and a bunch of the characters in Battlefront 2015. He's also the guy that falls into the raptor pit in Jurassic World and gets saved by Chris Pratt.
Whoa.
That's really cool.
Yeah. That is completely cool.
Right.
What afterwards you'll have to message me what season and episode number that was. I'll go back and listen to it. I will find it.
It's episode 50. Episode 50 of Battlefront.
The good old number 50.
Yeah, it was a big celebration episode.
Hell yeah.
What was your favorite episode of the whole show?
Ooh.
I don't know how I would answer that either.
Oh, I can tell you.
Probably the documentary I did on the Battlefront. It was around the time that Battlefront 2 was launching, and I got a bunch of content creators who were friends of mine in the community, and I just sent them a bunch of questions, and I interviewed them and said, hey, what are your expectations, and went through the story of the ups and downs of Battlefront, and it was really fun. I really enjoyed that. It has a lot of really cool people in it, but yeah, that's probably my favorite. Terms of interviews, Paul Kesslin was a great interview. We actually broke some news on there, which was really cool. So we were circling around the community with that news. Yeah, so those are probably a couple of my favorites.
Did you ever get into so we are in the content creator program for SWTOR in like with BioWare, which is like a division of the EA Game Changers program.
Okay.
Did you get involved with that at all?
No, like I was saying, like even though we are perfectly placed, I don't want to say a monopoly on the Battlefront podcast on the podcasting world for Star Wars games in the EA world, like especially Battlefront. We've outlived many other shows.
Yeah,
and
I understand that completely.
Never got an invite for that, and a bunch of friends of mine who are in the program are always like, what? That's so weird. But it's odd to me as someone who's really immersed in the podcast world. It's one of the fastest growing entertainment industries. Really powerful, strong marketing message, because you have the in-person discussions. You learn to trust these people who you listen to, and the people that they recommend are like, it's highly targeted. So if you listen to my podcast, you probably have a similar interest to me. So I'm going to recommend things to you that you'll more than likely enjoy. And that's super powerful, but
100%.
A big focus for EA.
Right. You know, corporate businesses, they don't actually know. They just care about the money.
Speaking of caring about the money, since you guys were podcasting about Battlefront 2 before the game's launch, how was that whole microtransaction sort of debacle from your end? I'm sure you're covering it basically like live.
That's a great question.
Talk about
the spiciness. Holy shit.
Yeah.
For those in the community, it wasn't a big thing because they got removed before the game officially launched. It was only the early access people that got to experience the joys of not even really, it wasn't pay to win, but that was the tagline everyone used. It was the microtransactions, and it all came down to the progression system. The progression system just wasn't really well thought out, and it struggled because people wanted to play those iconic heroes and villains, and some of them, like Darth Vader and Luke, I believe, were behind. You had to unlock them using credits. And I think they were 50,000 or something like that.
Right, you needed to play the game to earn them,
or buy them.
That was 50,000, and then they lowered it to 15.
Yeah, I think it was something really substantial, like at launch. You know better than me, but I want to say it was something like 40 hours of gameplay on average, or something like really intense.
The rate at which you earn the credits, it was 50,000 credits, and at the rate that you earn them at the current progression system at the time, it took a while. Like someone calculated, and it was something like 40 hours of constant gameplay or something like that.
Yeah.
And the crazy part is somebody would actually do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's intense.
Well, if you want to play as Luke or Darth Vader, you really had to.
Yeah.
Until they adjusted the earnings and everything for that.
Right. So at what point, and I actually know, like, as I was listening, at what point did you know that the show needed to evolve to the uplink?
So for the life of the podcast, and you know from listening to it, we weren't really hardcore about just covering Battlefront. We covered Fallen Order. We covered all the games that came out. It was just like the game that was the thing because of the lack of games from EA was Battlefront. And it was around it was a little bit before they canceled support for Battlefront 2 that I'd always had this idea, and I started a podcast, a spinoff called Star Wars Uplink, that we tried to do all of broader Star Wars games, but because we were also doing the Battlefront podcast, I wanted it to be separate and cover games besides Battlefront. And at the time, there was nothing besides Battlefront, so it really struggled on that front. I think we did 4 episodes before I was like, this isn't really working out, because Battlefront is the thing. And when Battlefront got canceled, Battlefront 2's support got canceled, I was like, okay, now it's time to really pump the brakes and reassess of what we're doing.
Right.
And I had to take a break from Battlefront, because I was just like, man, all of this time in this game that I've been spending, it was just a moment of like, this is rough. This is rough. Like there was even the developers were like, yeah, even though in their PR press release or whatever, they said they feel like the vision for Battlefront 2 is complete. That is a total lie. If you talk to any of the developers, they would have loved to continue, and they had plans to bring in Ahsoka and Asajj. We had there was leaks about some of the code inside. Like there was responses from Grievous, I think, that was talking to Ahsoka, and they had a lot more planned for the game. And I think if the game didn't have such a bad launch, we would have gotten to it a lot sooner. And then with COVID and all that stuff too, it just really, really hammered down the thinning of the herd, really.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I'm with you on some things, but what I didn't understand is I think the game was doomed in the sense of content from the start, because EA decided, because they called it a failed launch, that they were just going to give years worth of content for free.
Yeah. That is a great point. Yeah. That is.
So for me, I'm like, why would you do that? Like, even if you put a $5 paywall for Scarif or whatever the next expansion is, why not put a $5 cost on it to get some money back? So basically they were like, well, we're going to lose money for 3 years, but because we were going to put microtransactions in, you're going to get everything for free. Where if they just released the game and said there's no more microtransactions, and then they put out the next update and they said $5, it would have saved the game.
Mm-hmm.
We would still be
definitely
playing.
There was no way, and they really shot themselves in the foot with this in terms of they didn't have a way for you to support the game monetarily. They had a perfect lineup for cosmetics, but because of approvals with EA and then the next level Lucasfilm,
Mm-hmm.
it was dead in the water before they started. Because okay, yeah, you have a really cool idea, you have to talk to your head people at DICE, they have to talk to their head people at EA, and then they have to talk about the completely steel trap of Lucasfilm. And during those time frames, it was pretty early on in the mindset for Star Wars stuff, especially the first game. Like, approvals were the hardest thing. A couple of the developers said if you could ask someone asked them if they could change one thing, or what is their least favorite thing about developing Battlefront, approvals. There's like, if I could change one thing, I wish we could get through approvals so we can actually bring in the content that we want to bring in.
I've heard that from other developers as well, that the approval process can be pretty rough and lengthy.
Well, for us, when Jackie was talking about how Lucasfilm was great for them, it was because they're set 3,000 years before the current Star Wars.
Right.
Where now, like, personally, like, did you play Halo back in the day?
A little bit.
Were you okay? So,
to some friends' consoles, we were Nintendo people.
Yeah, so I loved making my Halo character pink and white. I just loved it. Like that was my Spartan, was pink and white. It's just the way it was.
Oh, didn't you have a pink Xbox too?
Yes. And because of Halo. But what I'm saying is I would have loved to have made a pink and white Stormtrooper. But because Lucasfilm is like, everything that we put out has to be canon, you can't do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like even in Fallen Order, I felt like the ponchos were weak as shit. Like, like, come on.
Like spice it up.
Yeah. Like it just didn't do it for me. Like like the lightsabers. Okay. Like that was cool to be able to customize it, but like you couldn't have a pink lightsaber.
No,
it had to be a canon color. You know what I mean? Like what is like, let us venture out and do it. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's how I felt about it.
Did you guys ever play? Did you get involved in Squadrons at all?
I can't play that game.
No, only because I don't do well with like flying simulator games.
Okay.
Not because it doesn't seem cool, but just that style of game is not good for me. Especially now that I have Vertigo.
From a lot of people. But basically Squadrons was paying for the sins of the father, which was Battlefront 2, because they also announced no microtransactions in the game, and it was set up perfectly for it. And they've supported the cosmetics really well, and then they are no longer supporting that game, and it's such a shame. Yeah, already.
Really? Well, okay, so let's go tinfoil hat. Is EA pulling the plug on Star Wars games, or like the support of them, because Lucasfilm was like, "Listen, we're taking away your exclusive license," and they're like, "Okay, we'll just we'll end support. We'll stop spending money on it. We'll pull DICE out." And and DICE is clearly going all in on Battlefield
2042.
Correct. Sorry, I was burping.
As they should, because that's their baby. That's what got them to the point where they could make a Battlefront, even though Battlefront 2 was even more successful than Battlefield 5. But I don't think it's the case that they're just because they don't have the exclusivity anymore, that they're going to be taking that away. From what I've heard, just from rumblings and some of the people I know, EA has been shaking up a lot of the way things are done internally, and especially through COVID. It's a change for everything. I'm just interested to see why they decided not to continue down the Star Wars hole as strongly as I think we all want them to. Because thoughts on EA aside, they made some fantastic games. Jedi Fallen Order 2 is amazing, or Jedi Fallen Order is amazing. Squadrons is an incredible experience for those that are really invested in that community. Battlefronts, I love them. I wish that they got continued support. They put out great games. They just didn't support them further when they needed to, and they aren't as frequent as we want them to be.
I agree completely. So Lauren, she is an awesome member of the Nerds community. She's awesome.
Woo woo.
She plays SWTOR and a bunch of other games, but she just joined, her team, her Squadrons team or squad just did this tournament, and she put it in the Discord, and I was at work and I just put it on my phone and I listened to it. Like the thought that went into this tournament, and like the rules, and like, okay, if somebody DCs within the first minute of the match, they will replay the match because clearly it's not going to be fair. You know what I mean? Like, because computer internet things happen. But if it's more than 1 minute, the other team will ask the permission of the other said team. Hey, can we replay this? Our player disconnected, and the other team can say no.
Yeah.
Like it was 90 seconds, sorry. Or it was 3 minutes in, like, no, the match is almost over at that point. But like the thought that they put into this tournament, and then I found out, I thought it was like an EA sponsored thing. It wasn't. No. And I'm like, wow, they lost. Like, think about like just the money that they could have printed off of the entry. Like have every team pay $5 or $5 a person to enter this esports tournament. You get 20,000 people to join this tournament. You just made a ton of money,
right?
And that right there could have financed a new ship or new missiles or whatever.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Oh, just a marketing campaign. If they would have, because they had Shroud play it on Twitch, who is a huge community, but they could have spent the money that they spent on Shroud to get 2 people to buy the game, because Shroud's community isn't the type of community that would be invested in a game like Squadrons. And if they put that into like an esports event like that would, and have that as a prize pool, that would have been wildly more successful. Friend of our podcast, Eckhart's Ladder, he ran the world's biggest Squadrons esports tournament, which had a $20,000 prize pool.
When was this?
This was a month or 2 ago.
This is the one.
Yeah, I was casting for that event.
This is the one that she was in.
Yeah.
And their team went. They won.
What was their team?
I don't remember. I can message you that later.
Okay.
But they went 2-3. And for me, like, if you're going into an internet tournament, you're going to be playing against some 2 good teams.
Yeah.
Like, for you to sneak out 2 wins, that's nothing to hold your head at.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's hang your head at. Like, that's pretty legit.
Yeah.
Like, because you're going, like, if you're entering a tournament, your team thinks you are pretty good.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you'd
probably dominate in regular play, if I had to guess.
Exactly. Like, they do practices.
What?
Like, well, they get together twice a week and they do like regular PvP to be ready to do tournaments. And like,
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy. So I just feel like EA is dropping the ball. And then my final thought on this is where I'm really confused is, so they stopped development on the game, on Battlefront 2.
Mm-hmm.
Stopped development. Then the next week it went free on Epic Game Store and Steam. Free.
Yeah.
And PlayStation and the PlayStation Store. Like, it was free.
PlayStation Store, it was on PlayStation Plus, it was free on the Epic Game Store. So it was the Celebration Edition, which unlocked all the cosmetics, and that was in January, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, but
January.
you had to pay for that.
Yeah, you had to pay for that.
Right.
And then they had the PlayStation Plus game after. So like in between canceling support, they launched the Celebration Edition, and we were all like, man, this is going to be great. Look, they released the game. This means that they're going to support it. And then they canceled the support, and then they stabbed you with a little knife, or a big sword pretty much, with the cancellation of the game. And then they twisted it with PlayStation Plus free game, and then they twisted it even further with the Epic Game Store, which they had 19 million people download the game. The servers crashed. There were so many people playing it.
That's crazy to me that you would do that and then not have anything for them to buy.
Right.
Well, you got the base game for free.
Yeah.
If you wanted to buy the Celebration Edition, I think it was like $25 or $30.
Yeah.
To get everything unlocked. But for me, I was just like,
man,
wait a minute, there's no more. You're basically giving away a dead game, where you could have put it on all of those things for $5, and that would have paid for support for the next year.
Or even if it is free, like, you could I feel like the traffic you would get would give you enough money to support stuff, or be like, hey, like, look, you can get this expansion for $1 or $5 or something.
That's what I mean.
Like easy, you know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't get it.
Free, no cover charge, free base game, and then, $5 here or there for the first.
Oh man, a free to play Star Wars game would do so well. Like if it was a first person shooter, or if a Warzone-esque battle royale. Oh my gosh.
All
it
right,
would be amazing.
Yeah. And, so this is the perfect segue. I think when I first reached out to you, I was so mad because you were
livid.
Yes, because you had some people on your show and you guys were talking about how, like, there's a lack of Star Wars games and all this, and nobody mentioned SWTOR. And I'm like, there's a game that's been out for 10 years, because I don't remember who the person was. He's a nice person. But he was like, the last game to come out was, Battlefront 1. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's Star Wars The Old Republic. And this person clearly didn't know anything about that game. And I'm like, this game has been alive for, at this point, it was probably like 8 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this game is alive and well. And that's when I first reached out to you, and I was like, holy shit, nobody actually knows about SWTOR. And I told Nick, I like literally,
You was like stomp around like a 3-year-old.
yes, like I was mad. I'm like,
I want people to know about my game.
well, yeah, exactly. But it's true. but that goes to the point of what you were saying earlier, Sage, about no marketing.
Mhm.
There's no marketing for SWTOR. You talk about a free to play game.
It's free to play.
It's free to play. You have a computer. It's not graphically challenging.
Yeah.
Like if you can get past like the 2009-10 graphics, like the stories are incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all decision based and it's free. So for me, I'm just like, this game is alive and well, and nobody talks about it because they don't market the game.
Right.
Like zero marketing.
Yeah.
And EA still has to pay the licensing fee, which I'm sure, like in this case, BioWare has to pay their licensing fee. I'm sure who made Fallen Order? Respawn.
That'd be Respawn.
I bet Respawn had to pay the licensing fee.
Yeah, probably.
You know what I mean? I'm sure it's not EA paying the licensing fee on those.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm just like, why do people not know about this? It's because there's no marketing. Which brings us to our last question about your podcast.
Yes. So why the name Uplink, or like where did Uplink come from?
It came from in a Walker assault. You have to shut down the uplinks to shut down the walkers.
In Star Wars Legion, you have to do stuff with uplinks as well.
Yeah, so I really it was kind of taking back the name that was the failed podcast at the time, taking it and broadening as well, because Uplink, while it has a great influence in Star Wars, it also lends itself to be a good brand for other games too. Like it's not necessarily Star Wars. Like I didn't call it AT-AT podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I've never heard of that.
I wanted it to be as specific as possible. Also, that was just an example. I love the guys over the AT-AT chat.
Sure. Is that a real podcast?
That is AT-AT chat is a great podcast on Star Wars. Yes.
Hold on. I'm gonna subscribe right now.
Please hold for podcast.
So, well, that's awesome. So tell everybody where they can find the Uplink podcast and your YouTube channel.
Yeah, so you can find us. You can go to uplinkpodcast.com and it'll take you to a spot where you can get the podcast. You can find us on Apple Podcast, iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you find podcasts, find the show. You can go to youtube.com/uplinkpodcast and that should take you there as well. But yeah, those are the main places that we are at Uplink Podcast on Twitter as well.
All right. So what's the name of this podcast? AT-AT what?
AT-AT chat.
I'm sorry.
AT-AT? Are you remembering the hyphen?
It's not on here. It's not on Apple Podcasts.
What?
Nope.
Blasphemy, sir.
I'll find it. Might be something else.
So before we wrap up, we want to talk about something else,
YouTube channel. Sorry.
Oh, it's a YouTube. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So we tried the whole like live show YouTube.
Oh,
it's not for us. We are a podcast. That's all we are. We don't pretend to be anything else. We do not pass go. We do not collect $200. Like we're just a podcast. Oh, thanks. You just linked it to me.
We go directly to jail.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because what's irritating is I don't want to pay for YouTube Red, that like $10 a month, so I can listen to the videos like with the screen off.
Yeah.
I'm too cheap for that. Gosh. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, but something that I'm excited for.
Me too. I'm super pumped.
And I know you're excited for. We finally got the next Battlefield announcement.
Finally.
Right. And it's called Battlefield 2042. For me, it sounds to me like they're trying to bring us back to Battlefield 2, where it was like complete war, mayhem,
chaos.
and chaos. And that trailer was insane. So Nick, do you want to read what the game is?
Like the description?
Yes, please.
Absolutely. So Battlefield 2042. Actually, before this, if you haven't seen the Battlefield 2042 trailer, pause the podcast, open up, whatever YouTube, I guess, app, go watch it, and then come back.
Yes.
I'll wait. Go right ahead.
All right.
Don't do it if you're driving, obviously, Matt. But pull over, watch the video. It's like 5 minutes, and then come back.
And it's an insane 5 minutes.
It's an insane 5 minutes. So now that you're back after watching, Battlefield 2042 marks the return of the iconic all-out warfare of the franchise. Adapt and overcome dynamically changing battlegrounds with the help of your squad and a cutting-edge arsenal. With support for 128 players, prepare
Wild.
for an unprecedented scale on vast environments. Take on massive experiences from updated multiplayer modes like Conquest and Breakthrough to the all-new Hazard Zone. 128 players.
That is insane.
Yeah.
How many people are in Warzone?
About 150.
I think about 150.
Right. But Warzone, there's not as much going on as this game.
No.
No.
Certainly not.
Especially the level of destruction that Battlefield has become known for, and they kind of lulled on that with Battlefield 5. Though it is still there. This is going to take it to the next level.
So there's a lot of really cool things that happen in the trailer. I think one of my favorite things is like sort of a meme. It's two planes fighting each other, right? Then one guy jumps out, parachutes, hits the second plane with a rocket launcher, and then gets back in his plane. Because that's something people would do in Battlefield games all the time.
Oh, because they used to do that way back in the day for Battlefield 2.
Yeah, exactly. Battlefield 3, all the time. People would be flying a plane, jump out,
Rocket launch
the other plane they were fighting, then get back in their own plane. It was awesome.
So for me, I'm excited for something new from it. What I'm really curious of is, so when they say all out warfare, so this is going to be so un-Battlefield. I'm not a big fan of the big matches where there's tanks and helicopters and everything all at once. Like, I kind of like it very simple. Like in Call of Duty, I like domination. You go capture a point, which is conquest in this game. Or no, what do they call it in Battlefield?
No, Conquest.
Where you capture the points?
Yeah. Where there's like 5 or 7 of them or something. But.
Right. But I'm not a big fan of when there's like the jet airplanes and all of like the vehicles in the game. That's not my style. But what is really intriguing to me about this new game is that they're calling something hazard mode, the hazard map.
I wonder if that's going to be their
Hazard
Battle Royale.
Zone. Well, no. So it says squad up and drop down into the hazard zone. An all-new high-stakes multiplayer experience. Stay tuned for more information coming later in the year.
I bet you that's their Battle Royale.
It sounds like it. It sounds like an almost Apex style, like squad up.
Right,
but
you're in a squad. You're dropping in.
It could also
the
be
hazard zone is getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah,
Right.
It could also be something a lot smaller than that too. If they do have a battle royale and it's not free to play, it's not going to go well. Like, battle royales are expected to be free to play, and if you don't offer that, sorry, buddy, your game's done for.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Well, I feel like in the world we live in, you have to have a battle royale. Maybe not right at the start. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because honestly, I know people that that didn't used to buy the Call of Duty game every year.
Yeah.
But now because Warzone is just free to play and it's the same engine and the same map, they're like, what do I need to buy the new Call of Duty for?
Right.
I don't need to buy
the
anything.
opposite direction, because I played Warzone and I was like, man, this is great. I'm going to buy the new Call of Duty.
That's a good point.
Which is what I did, literally. Like, I'd never played a Call of Duty game before. Jumped into Warzone and I was like, this is fantastic. And then I got right into Call of Duty Cold War.
Sure.
I love Cold War.
The other thing is, what I'm hearing about all-out warfare and what they're saying, these environmental hazards, like, I feel like that's going to be something that has never been done, in the sense of the maps are going to change, not only from, the
Levolution.
the Levolution, where, spot A, when you start off, could be sunny and warm and beautiful, and then once you take it, like we saw like a tornado coming.
That's exactly what I want to just comment on. I have the trailer pulled up now. Yeah, there's a literal like Category 5 tornado that goes through
and
like this downtown area.
But
it is completely random. The tornado, you may get into a game mode where the tornado doesn't come in. You may get it to where it completely gets destroyed, and it is non-mapped, so it is completely random. It may hit one part, it may hit another part. You can't predict it.
How do you know
awesome.
that? They just did like a Q&A on that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's really cool.
Right?
Talk about like increasing destruction. I love that.
And I feel like, believe it or not, I feel like this Battlefield has to be good to save the franchise.
Yeah, I made a video on that specific topic, like because of the struggles that DICE has had for the last few years. I mean, Battlefield 1 was a really good success, really well-developed game. But then they had Battlefield 5, which it underperformed by a lot of standards. They've said it themselves. And then you had the controversy around Battlefront 2. And then there was a little bit of a meh response to Battlefront 2015. So there's been a lot of ups and downs on DICE's history, so they have to nail this game really, really well. So that's why they've got 4 development companies working on this game. They nixed the campaign,
which is ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't love that. I think you should definitely have a campaign.
I'm of two minds. So the world of multiplayer games is, the reality is 15 to 20% of people play the campaigns. That's it. Most people go there for the multiplayer. And I understand it from Battlefield's perspective because they've only had really like one like really standout campaign experience. It's not their strong suit. And for this game to survive, it hinges on the success of the multiplayer. Now, would I have loved the campaign? Yes, obviously. The storyline that they've got on their website already, like, oh my gosh, why didn't they make a campaign? Like the whole timeline they have is like, how did we get to this point?
I do agree. In hearing you say that, I do agree with you. But here's my thing. I remember Battlefield 3's campaign and Battlefield Bad Company too. Those campaigns were awesome. Like Battlefield 3, when you went down into the train station, and that was when like the graphics were really changing, I think, for me, where I was just like, wow, this game is beautiful. And you saw a flashlight all the way from the other side. And then you saw like 4 or 5 and they were spreading out, like the AI was spreading out. I was like, oh my God, shit's about to go down.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, this is unbelievable. The other thing I never understood is, and maybe this would hurt a game, but what if they released a game with just the campaign available for the first week? So then like the actual multiplayer unlocks a week later. So if like the people who want to play the campaign, they can play it for the first week. And after that, it's no holds barred multiplayer.
Or option B, release the campaign later.
Yeah, that is an option.
But it's got to cost a lot to make a campaign.
I don't know that, but I'd imagine so, yeah.
Versus just a multiplayer.
Yeah. Or at least about as much if you have like a giant multiplayer.
That's I don't think there's an experience of where there's one that costs more than the other. At this stage, they already have the assets made, which is the big push. Because in most game development, they work on the story last. We had the writers of Battlefront 2's campaign, Walt Williams and Mitch Dyer, on the podcast.
Wow.
And I was asking them kind of like the process of it. He said, yeah, normally the writers of the game are brought in much later in the development process because the multiplayer and the asset creation and the actual gameplay is what they work on the longest. And then they bring those into the form of the campaign. And there was things that they cut from Battlefront 2's campaign because of just they weren't able to implement it in the engine, or they weren't able to implement it in the time frame that they had it, or just wouldn't work out for what they intended.
That makes sense. Yeah, that the creating all those polygons and animations and maps. Well, not the maps necessarily, but you know what I'm trying to say. The assets must take a tremendous amount of time, and having them like be able to properly interact with each other and the physics and things like that. That's got to be exhausting. But I'm excited about this.
Me too.
So
I'm so pumped for that massive scale.
all right. So it says a decade of chaos. It's 2031. 10 years is all it took to bring the world to the brink. Rising sea levels, collapsing economies, broken alliances, and the headlines keep rolling in. October 9th, 2033, Hurricane Zeta, the world's first Category 6 storm. January 11th, 2034, global fuel shortages spark the second Great Depression.
Whoa. August
8th, 2035, European Union officially disbands following Germany's collapse.
Whoa.
It's saying more.
Okay.
Yeah. The rise of the no-pats. Left behind, the displaced band together into ragtag fleets in search of safe harbor. There are families, farmers, doctors, engineers, and soldiers, the once privileged and the once impoverished, with backgrounds that are worlds apart, forced together, determined to survive. The media calls them the
patrioted.
Yep. They call themselves the no-pats.
Interesting.
Wow, this is pretty crazy.
Right? Like, that gets such detail.
Yeah. The new normal. In 2037, humanity adapts to the new normal. Revolutions in energy, desert irrigation, hydraulic levees, and seawalls save coastal cities, reclaim farmland, and rebuild supply chains. Hope of finding stability leads to some nations reopening their borders. However, with no way to repatriate 1.2 billion people, no-pats become a permanent fixture in all economic, military, and social policy making. Many no-pats are still distrustful of the government that exiled them and refuse calls to reassimilate. No-pats leaders emerge, inspiring a new identity unbound to former nationality, drawing a line in the sand between the old world and the new normal. Hashtag We Are No-Pats becomes a rallying cry. Amidst the world rebuilding, sparks of friction erupt between the U.S. and Russia, as the last two superpowers both vie for control of this fast-changing world.
What happened to China?
I don't know. Apparently, they picked Russia as the big bads. So, the blackout of 2040, a sudden space debris storm creates a Kessler effect, causing 70% or more of all orbiting satellites to malfunction and crash to Earth. Whoa, the cause is unknown. The subsequent blackout causes mass devastation. Planes crash, communication grids collapse, already jammed global supply chains come to a standstill, prices of oil, grain, coal skyrocket exponentially.
I love this line here.
Unsubstantiated claims report over 100,000 lives are lost. I feel like that's probably more than that. A world on the brink goes over the...
Maybe a little more.
Maybe a little more. Where have we seen this type of thing before?
This one right here.
A world on the brink goes over the edge. No internet, no navigation, no surveillance, no storm forecasts. Geopolitical distrust surges overnight. No one can spy on each other, so no one can trust each other. Both Russia and the U.S. claim the other is responsible for the blackout, while some suspect no-pats are behind it and accuse them of trying to sow anarchy. Former military and combat-trained specialists among the no-pats rise up into armed task forces to defend themselves as tensions arise. The brink of war. A food and fuel shortage ignites a shadow war between the U.S. and Russia. To maintain plausible deniability, both sides field no-pats task forces as proxies in escalating conflicts over resources, promising the refugees a piece of what's left. So now it's 2042. Open war is imminent. No-pats have no choice but to choose sides, fighting for not for a flag, but for. Oh my God, let me redo that. Sorry. 2042. Open war is imminent. No-pats have no choice but to choose sides, fighting not for a flag, but for their future. Their war is your story. And then you can click join the fight to
join the fight.
Join the fight and choose your platform. I'm invested. This sounds great.
Holy shit. So just so everybody listening to the show knows, I have not read that.
I didn't either. I read that.
I
live.
saved all of this for this podcast because I wanted it to be as genuine as possible.
I'm so hyped. I'm always a little skeptical on like the future, the game set in the future, but this sounds really cool.
Well, does it feel like it's hitting home, like the shit's real?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Also, yes.
Like gas prices are on the rise.
Oh,
Food
check.
is going up.
Check.
Inflation is happening.
Check.
Like there's a lot of things happening right now. Like borders
Guys,
are closed. We can't
My
go to
games
Canada.
aren't games anymore. They're real life.
Yeah.
Well, there was somebody said there was like a show that they had to change like the plot on because
It was Falcon and the Winter Soldier because they had a whole virus
Yeah.
pandemic
Outbreak.
subplot line, and they cut it all because COVID. And they were like, Disney was like, "Oh, we probably don't want to have."
Maybe we should highlight this.
Yes, exactly.
But on June 13th, which is 3 days from now.
Yeah. 2 days if you're listening on when we
Yeah.
actually release it on Friday.
Exactly. They're going to give us a gameplay trailer, which I'm super excited for because I'm really curious to see I know the art style, but the gameplay style.
Yeah.
Because I feel like Battlefront 1 played differently than Battlefield 3, which played different than Battlefield 5.
In Battlefield
Mhm.
1.
Yes.
Um,
Like I feel like they all had their own style. Like, yes, it was Battlefield, but I felt like each one touched a different style.
I agree. I think my favorite of the recent ones is definitely still Battlefield 1.
Yeah.
I feel like it was really nicely balanced in things, and
It was. It took creative liberties with the time frame, but not too much. I was just
Yeah.
talking with a friend of mine on this, and they took it a little too far with Battlefield 5, and I think they were very reserved with Battlefield 1 in just the right ways.
yeah, I feel like they took just enough creative liberties to where like it's a suspension of disbelief type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And I didn't mind it. I thought it still played like you knew you were in World War One, and technology wasn't quite as good as later wars, but it wasn't like so much so that it was inhibiting gameplay. If that makes
Yeah.
sense. Marcus, what I was trying to hand gesture to you is, I think I saw somewhere in what we were looking at, the release date was like October something,
October
22nd.
October 22nd, 2021.
Yep.
Boom.
which
With
Less than
a early access on October 15th, which is my birthday. So I'm going to be enjoying a
Whoa!
great
Happy
birthday
early
present.
no, his birthday is going to be spent not sleeping. He's going to do a 24-hour stream of just playing Battlefront.
I've already lined up a bunch of my creator friends, and we're going to be launching a stream on that day. We're going to all hop in together, all stream together, and it's going to be fun.
Yeah, and for me, I'm excited because it's going to come out before the new Call of Duty, as per usual.
Yep.
So there's going to be a lot of people that are playing this, and I feel like they're going to this game is definitely going to get some traction, because the other thing I always say, Call of Duty's demise, but it's not really their demise because they print money, is they come out with one every year.
Mm-hmm.
Where I feel like Battlefield is going to be good because this is going to be around for 2 years before the next one, or maybe 2 to 3 years. And I feel like it's going to be like people are going to feel like, okay, I can invest time into this game.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So right away they've named 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 maps, and they are pretty sweet.
Yeah,
A lot
I'm
of
really
them-
looking forward
A
to
lot
it.
of them is, Antarctica.
They're all over the place.
Yeah.
And like
Oh,
this was hearing about the hype around Battlefield. I was like, okay, I'm really hyped about it. But I also see Star Wars is possibly, for gaming, maybe another year away before we start to really see the stuff fruition, maybe even 2 before stuff really gets going.
Mm-hmm.
And Battlefield is a really cherished franchise of mine. I really I'm really hyped to start covering this, and we're going to be launching a specific Battlefield podcast. We're going to record the first episode in 9 days. So
Wow.
I'm super excited for that.
Wait, so it's going to be the Battlefield Uplink?
Possibly. We're still tossing around different ideas for the name, but it will be under the Uplink banner. So we'll have Star Wars Uplink, which will cover broad Star Wars gaming. And I've been highlighting some of the women creators in Star Wars gaming community, and that's been really fun. And then we're gonna deep dive into the older Star Wars games. Had my girlfriend on the podcast, and we were talking about Republic Commando, because that's a game that we both really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll have Star Wars Uplink as the podcast will stay Star Wars gaming, and then we'll also launch a separate podcast for Battlefield.
But it's all you're gonna upload it all through the Uplink channel.
Yes.
It won't be separate.
Yeah, it'll be a network, basically.
Oh, awesome.
That's smart. Awesome.
Wow, that's fantastic. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, so that'll be all of the Battlefield stuff is going to be housed on the YouTube channel, as well as on each. We'll probably do 2 videos a week on Star Wars gaming. So one will be the podcast itself, which you can listen to in full on the YouTube channel, as well as all the places you can find podcasts. And then we'll have a separate video specifically on any specific topic or a snippet from the podcast. And then the rest of the stuff will be Battlefield. And that'll be youtube.com/Uplink Podcast.
What are you guys talking about in here?
Find out next episode of
Working Class Nerds.